All right, so today we're gonna go to volume. This is in the book. I don't know why they didn't do surface area of prisms and cylinders, but I think volume overall is easier than surface area. So let's start with volume of a prism, and the formula is that uppercase B, which again is the area of the base. So we used that in our pyramids and cones, and if you use the formula for some of the surface area stuff. So area of the base. So simply, the other thing that with like rectangular prisms, you probably learned back in middle school or something at some point, length times width times height. So volume has 3 dimensions. It has length and width, but then it also has height. So it works the same, but it only works for rectangles. So that's kind of why length width height isn't always the greatest way to remember it. But this one should be simple. Area of the base is 6 times 3, and the height is 10. And so if it was, let's say, feet, then it's feet cubed, because there's 3 dimensions, length, width, height. So volume is always cubed. Anything with the word area in it is always squared, because it's 2 dimensions, length times width. Okay, so that's the basic one. I'm going to come back to the not basic ones in a minute. So cylinder, same formula, but it's just the area of a cylinder is a circle, so pi r squared times h. So if we had one like that, area of the base, pi 12 is a diameter, so 6 squared would be the area of the base, and then the height is 18. So 36 pi times 18, and then get a calculator to do that part from this point forward. So 36 times 18 is 648 pi. And let me see how the book wants the answers. They multiply it out. So 648 pi is 2035 point and 2 decimals. 752. So the 2 means leave the 5 alone. And it could be, let's say, meters. So meters cubed. Okay, so those are the straightforward, nothing real crazy or weird about them. You can draw a cylinder. It's kind of weird, but where it's got this slanted or whatever. So, and then on those ones you'll have a triangle kind of drawn out here. That's the height. Okay, so this, whatever's on the side of this one, because it's on an angle, that's not the height. Okay, that's the hypotenuse of a triangle. So you could have In fact, on one of them you will, like this is a right triangle, and you could do, Pythagorean theorem to figure out like the height. So they do make one of the problems a little bit different, but see what you can kind of come up with on that one. All right, so the harder ones, if you have a triangle for the prisms, let's see if I can draw a good one. It's really hard for me. It's still a prism because it has a base that's the same on the top and the bottom. You just would need to do area of the base is a triangle. So it's still area of the base times height, but in a triangular one, it's half lowercase b base, not area of the base, but just the base, times height, and then the height of the whole prism. So this is just like the triangle part, and then this is the height of the prism. Okay, so be careful like when you kind of how you term like those. So if we had like something like that, so remember on a triangle, I'm going to kind of redraw it. Kind of turn it around a little bit. The base and the height make up the right angle, so you don't want the hypotenuse. You want the base and the height like this. So this one would be half 6 times 4, and then the height of the prism is this 6 like over here. So this one, it kind of doesn't matter when you do half. I mean, 6 times 4 is 24, half of 24 is 12. Times 6 is 72 inches cubed, or whatever measurement label that they use. Okay, so if it's a right triangle, a little bit easier. Okay, so let's do one that's like kind of a harder one. You'll have a couple problems where, number one, they just list stuff out. So let's say it says a hexagonal prism has a height of 10 and each edge of the base is 8 inches. So we'll say 10 inches. Okay, and so then find the volume. So what it's saying is the base is a hexagon. And each of the sides is 8. Okay, so it's a prism, because it said the word prism up there, so we're still doing area of the base times height, but now the area of a hexagon is half the perimeter of the base times the apothem, and then the height of the prism, which is 10, so we know that one. Okay, so we got to go back to section 3 in the book to do our areas of our familiar shapes. So remember that the P is the perimeter of the base. So I do know that because I can add up all those 8s. And then the A is the apothem, which is from the center down to, one of the edges. It actually doesn't matter which, but it's got to be a right angle, and it's got to be from the center. Okay, so that's going to be like the trick, because we got to go back and kind of do some more area, excuse me, of, in this case, a hexagon. So, I don't know, I like to kind of fill in information as I know it. So the perimeter is 8 times 6, or 48. And then I don't know, like, the apothem. And I do know the height, because it told me in the problem. Okay, so I got to figure out this apothem. And so remember, we're going to take, and I'm going to redraw this triangle out here. We're going to take this triangle out, and if the whole bottom part is 8, then this bottom part is 4. It'll always be half. That you don't have to, like, worry about. Okay, and so now I don't have enough information right now to solve this, so I need to go back and figure out what's this whole central angle, like the from red to red. So that would be, I'm going to go way over here on the right, 360 divided by 6, because there's 6 sides, is 60 degrees. That's the whole red. But from the red to the blue would be half of that. It's always half. So this will be 30 degrees. Okay, and so hexagons are nice because it's a 30, 60, 90 triangle. So if you remember the shortcut for that, that's probably the best way to go about it. But if you don't, or if it's not 30 degrees, if it's 70 degrees or whatever, then you have to do sine, cosine, or tangent. So I want to figure out this A, and I know that one's for opposite over adjacent. That's tangent of 30 degrees equals 4 over A for the apothem. And so let's see, tangent of 30 is 0.5773. So I get 0.5773A equals 4. And then I'm going to divide 4 divided by that decimal. 6.9 3 rounds off to 3. It's like 928. Okay, so in here, I have my perimeter, and then my apothem is 6.93. Kind of should have left this part out a little bit, but okay, so I'm going to do half of 48 is 24 times 6.93. So 24 times 6.93, and then times 10. So then I finally get 1,663.2 inches cubed. So most of the problems where you're finding the volume, you will have just either a triangle or a rectangle that are, those should be pretty straightforward. Okay, the ones that are going to be more challenging there's 2 of them. So it says a prism has a height of 11.2 centimeters and an equilateral triangle for a base. So you're going to have to do this area with an equilateral triangle. And then there's one that says a pentagonal prism has a height of 9 feet, and each edge is 3 feet. So you're going to have a 5-sided figure. Okay, so you're going to need to do the central angle divided by the number of 360 divided by the number of sides, and then the angle in the triangle that you work with, like this one, will be half. Okay, if you remember the special right triangle thing on this one, the A is the short side to that side is 4 square root of 3. And so if you type into the calculator 4 times the square root of 3, you'll still get that 6.93. Okay, so doing the tangent part of it is kind of what you're going to see on your assignment. Okay. All right, then, so a couple hard problems in the middle. Then at the end, it's going to be kind of like some of the area and circumference problems that we did at the beginning of the chapter. So it might say, picture in here. So it gives you the volume, and then it wants to know what's this like missing value. So, you know, the volume equals area of the base times height, and the area of the base is 6 times 4. And then the height, but then it tells you the answer needs to be 72. Okay, so then you just solve the equation. And the height is 3. Okay, so you'll have, you know, a couple prisms, a couple cylinders. Just, you know, remember that you're going to use your formulas. And for cylinder, you would put pi r squared h. Okay, so it's going to give you the volume, and then it's either going to not give you the radius or not give you the height. Solve for that, and you'll plug it into your equation. Then you'll have a couple step problem to solve. Okay. All right. So there we have volume, prisms, and cylinders. All right. Have a great rest of your day, guys, and we'll see you tomorrow.